I did about 20 wars. I spent a lot of time in Northern Ireland, which was a war of sorts, wasn't it? A lot of time in Beirut, the Iranian Revolution, attempted coups all over Africa, the war in Rhodesia, Zimbabwe, and so on.
In 2001, you were also, I believe, you must have been there when the September the 11th attacks occurred.
Yes.
What was your experience of that?
I was in the theatre, actually,
Really?
on the South Bank at a matinee. And I just got in, because I'd done the morning programme, and got in and listened to the PM programme, and I was, you're trying to piece together what was happening. It just sounded absolutely incredible. I was just staggered by it. And I went in as usual the next day for my shift, because they don't rush people in and change everything usually, because it's important to keep continuity, and a story of that kind is going to be going on for so many days. You want to keep people rested and refreshed.
Sure thing.
So I didn't have anything to do with it on the day.
Right, because we did come across some interesting things to do with World Trade Center Building 7 that collapsed on 9/11, and basically sort of claims that the BBC had reported a collapse of that building in advance of its actual collapse.
I don't know that. I haven't heard that one.
Right.
I mean, the BBC is a big organisation. I suppose it's possible. I'm surprised I haven't heard it.
Have you heard of World Trade Center Building 7? Or
No.
Okay. Because I mean, we've seen footage of yourself reporting the collapse of that building, and that has been time coded as 23 minutes in advance of its actual deterioration. You may remember Jane Stanley.
Yes, I know. Yes, I know she was a reporter there. Yeah.
On September the 11th, you were in BBC World Studio.
Yes.
And news came in. I think you were the first not the first, but you said, we're hearing reports now that the Salomon Brothers building has collapsed. Do you not remember
I
that?
don't remember it, no.
Right.
My memory is not my strongest suit,
Okay,
and there was
cool.
so much going on. I really don't remember the
No
sequence
worries.
of events. Yeah.
Well, basically, this is. I'm glad to talk to you because we're not here to antagonise you. But basically, this building was a 47-storey steel structured building, the Salomon Brothers building, and it collapsed roughly at about 23 minutes past 5 New York time on September the 11th. And it was...
I wasn't in the studio, I'm sure, that day. I didn't go in.
Not on 9/11?
No. As I said, I was in the theatre in the afternoon, and then we drove straight home, and I came back for my shift the following day. That's my recollection. Now, more on the latest building collapse in New York. You might have heard a few moments ago, I was talking about the Salomon Brothers building collapsing. And indeed it has. Apparently that's only a few hundred yards away from where the World Trade Center towers were. And it seems that this was not a result of a new attack. It was because the building had been weakened during this morning's attacks. We'll probably find out more now about that.
And in about, I think it was about 2006, it emerged, this piece of footage emerged, actually of you and Jane Stanley. And a lot of people said, hold on a minute, in the video of Jane reporting the collapse of the building, you can actually see the Salomon Brothers building behind her.
We'll probably find out more now about that from our correspondent, Jane Stanley. Jane, what more can you tell us about the Salomon Brothers building and its collapse?
As you can see behind me, the Trade Center appears to be still burning. We see these huge clouds of smoke and ash, and we know that behind that there's an empty piece of what was a very familiar New York skyline, a symbol of the financial prosperity of this city.
Well, this is all news to me. I'm surprised.
It would have been later, I guess it would have been later for English time.
Oh yeah, now it's coming back to me. Yeah, of course, because at that stage I wasn't doing the morning, I was doing the evenings on the World.
That's right.
So I went with my son to the theatre, heard it on the radio, and then went into the studio. You're quite right.
Yeah.
And I was on that night. You're
That's
quite
right.
Yeah.
Now, we think, our interpretation of it was because this has caused such a lot of controversy, the editor of BBC World had to come out and make a public statement as to why it was that the BBC had reported on air the collapse of a building prior to its actual collapse. And the second reason why it's so controversial is because to this day, no scientist or engineer has been able to provide a plausible reason for this building's collapse. And in fact, the National Institute of Standards and Technology report states that even the most plausible scenario is highly unlikely. So a lot of eyebrows were raised. There was a demolition expert who looked at the building and said this is controlled demolition. He looked at the collapse of World Trade Center 7 and said, without a doubt, this is a controlled demolition.
Zie je vanaf boven gaan? Nee, je gaat vanaf onder.
Die gaat vanaf onder, ja.
Toch?
Ja.
Ze hebben gewoon kolommen weggeblazen. Er is nagesprongen.
Dit valt anders dan het World Trade Center.
Vind je niet dan?
Ja, je ziet het, de onderste verdiepingen gaan eerst.
Ja, en de rest zakt er gewoon in. Dus dit is controlled demolition.
Zeker weten.
Zeker weten. Er is nagesprongen. Dit is in opdracht gebeurd. Dit heeft een team gedaan van experts.
Maar dit is ook op 11 september gebeurd.
Dezelfde dag?
Dezelfde dag.
Dezelfde dag? Weet je dat zeker?
Ja.
Was het zeker weten de 11e? Dat kan geen waar zijn.
7 uur nadat de World Trade Center naar beneden viel.
Ja? Hebben ze hard gewerkt.
This sounds so significant. I'm just amazed I didn't know about this.
We can, I mean, if you like, we can supply you with material information about this, because I think from your perspective it would be good, your time's running out, it would be good to know about this, because this is one of the anomalies of 9/11, and that event was so significant that it deserves further investigation.
That's potentially very interesting.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah. I'm sorry I can't enlighten you. I mean, gosh, I didn't realise. This is completely news to me. I don't know how it's passed me by, but it has.
Could we send you some information on it by email?
Yeah, if you like.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is that alright?
Yeah.
Because really, for your benefit.
Yeah, I'll give you an address. You can send it. So is there no official explanation?
No, none at all. In fact, the National Institute of Standards and Technology were due to publish a report in 2007 as to why the building collapsed. And they've had to delay it until 2009.
And what did the BBC statement say then?
BBC statement, the editor's statement, which is online, said...
They'd lost the tape.
Yeah, they'd lost the original footage.
I sense that you think there's a conspiracy here, but
Well,
you might be right.